Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio. We are radio for the ready-minded. I'm Scott. This is Shane, and Paris is M-I to the A. Actually, we know where he is, sort of. He is on the road, helping his child whose car broke down. One of those things in life that as a dad you're prepared for, but as a kid, they almost never are.
So you got to learn your lessons the hard way, typically, right?
Oh my gosh,
which is great. I mean, it's an important lesson, but it's not going to be. It's not that critical, right? I mean, it's not like. I guess it could potentially be life-threatening type of lesson, right? Depending on if it were middle of summer and he broke down in Death Valley, right? That could be critical. That could be a tough lesson to learn, right? So.
That's when you don't call on dad. That's when you call on tow truck and get out of that situation.
Quickly.
Like, make sure you always pack your extra stuff. So just like that, right? We're going to talk about things to prep for, things to plan for. Today, it's home scenario Thursday. We're going to talk about the things that are most common, some of the things that you probably haven't thought of. But I want to remind you guys to check out preppertalkradio.com. Over on the website, we've got a couple good things for you. Number one, first and foremost, you're probably taking crappy supplements. If you're buying them on Amazon, buying them at Walmart, buying them pretty much any box store, guess what? Mm-hmm. They're 90% garbage. Ask for certificates of analysis. We work with a company called Live Good. We love their products. I take a lot of their products. And they have wholesale pricing for members, but also just the regular pricing. If you go to preppertalkradio.com / good life, their regular pricing is like 40 to 60% below regular market pricing. Everything comes with certificates of analysis, lab tests to prove it is what it is. It's good. It's high quality. I take their Shilajit every day, their creatine every day because it's a nootropic. Guys, take care of that brain so you can take care of your life. And of course, they're Super Reds. And I know you're a big fan of the Super Greens. Mm-hmm. Amazing, amazing products. Guys, check it out. It'll help support the show, but more importantly, it'll help you stay healthy. Secondly, check out Ozio Medical. You're going to get 10% off by clicking on our link over at preppertalkradio.com, or you can just use the code PrepperTalk at checkout to save 10% on your emergency antibiotics and stocking up, because with the Strait of Hormuz jacked up right now and international shipping being a little bit more treacherous and China being pissed off at America, we're looking at some shortages coming up, and we're hearing that from all of the medical suppliers. So if you have pharmaceutical needs, check out Ozio Medical, ozio.com, and use the code PrepperTalk. You'll save 10% on everything site-wide, and you can use it as many times as you want. So without further ado, let's dive right in
to a very exciting topic.
This is the sexiest topic in all of preparedness.
And of course, we have to put this on Paris. This was his topic, yet he's not here.
Right. I was not prepared for that. When he called me this morning, I was like, oh, you jerk. You dirty jerk.
It's all good. It's all good.
We love Paris.
No, and I say it's not very exciting because, it's kind of a very basic topic for preparedness. Yet, in my own life, my own family, I see that mindset is the most important part of this, right? Mm-hmm. And most people have a positive outlook on life and a positive mindset, which is great, but typically means they're not thinking about the bad thing that can go wrong in life, right? And I don't know if Paris were here, he would say something about the Romans or the Greek, where they have a particular saying that not coming to mind right now, where that's kind of what the life they practice. Let's contemplate about on all the negative things that could potentially happen. And of course, there's some kind of Latin saying, some Stoic Latin saying that I'll try and look up here during our when I'm not jabbering. And
I'm shocked that you're thinking Romans. I'm thinking Jordan Peterson. I'm like, what would Jordan Peterson say?
There you go, too. That's yours in
Paris.
That's
his other go-to for Paris.
Yeah, and so obviously, these are pretty basic things. For me, it's boring, right? For Scott, it's boring. Hopefully, it's not boring for you. It's just a reminder, really, of where our head should be as fathers in the house, as mothers, as parents in the home. this is our job to watch for these potentialities, especially if you're a homeowner, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
renter too, obviously, this still applies.
What's funny is like as we're talking about this, I'm sitting here thinking how in the last 2 weeks we had a crazy downpour in my area, which flooded the basement, and then this week the water heater like actually leaking all over the house. So that had to shut water off on that. But we're going to talk about this and more. It may not seem sexy, but it is absolutely mandatory that you understand these things, because these are the things that are going to really cut into your life the fastest, and damper pretty much every day. These are the localized disasters. In prepping, we like to think about the zombie apocalypse, Iran coming into California with their drones or whatnot, right? Because that's exciting. Well, your house being flooded and you not knowing what to do, that's exciting in a terrifying way as well. Your life may not be in danger, but all your crap could go out the window. All your stuff could be now useless depending on the water. So we're gonna dive right in. Since I'm talking water, let's dive right in, shall we?
Well, yeah, about water in particular, that's been on my mind as well. And I think, Scott, you convinced me when we were texting earlier that you're working on your water heater. I've been concerned about mine for a while. It's been 10 plus years, kind of near the end of its life. I think it's time to just go ahead and swap that out preventively, right?
Yep.
It is definitely a bit of a headache. Obviously, if it stops working in the middle of the day, I'm going to have to stop working, stop whatever I'm doing to deal with it, right? Because the wife has to have the hot water, right? I mean, I gotta have it. It's obviously we all have to have the hot water now. We're handicapped. We got to have those niceties, right? And I think worst case, like yours, it leaks, it causes damage in the house, and it could cause mold and other things, and especially if you've got a basement, your water heater's upstairs. That's not typical here in Utah, but it could cause damage below, and it could really disrupt your life. So let's attack these things before they actually happen.
Yep.
Yeah, I might get another year or two out of the water heater, but then it may rupture and explode and go through the roof. That's a very rare possibility for a water heater, but it is a possibility. And you hear the popping and the crackling of the water heater in your storage room with your furnace, right? And it's a little unsettling. And hopefully it's not rusting through. Hopefully your tank, what's the cathode, the sacrificial anode, that's what it is. Hopefully that's still doing its job, right? Have you ever flushed it? Have you ever flushed out your water heater? I did it once several years ago, and just if that sediment builds up, that can plug up the release valves, the safety valve to vent off that any pressure, and that's where if it could build overpressure and then explode and go through your roof, right? That's extremely dangerous. And so those are the kinds of things as homeowners, and like I say, as parents, we should be thinking about. That should maybe wake you up at 2:00 in the morning, thinking it's time to got a little extra, money,
Yep.
extra dollars. Let's get that taken care of now. Yeah, I might be sacrificing a year's worth of life out of it, but I think it's time for me to go ahead and pull that trigger.
Well, the nice thing is when you have time, you can bargain shop, right? You can get what you want. You can upgrade. You can think about things a little bit longer and really take care of it. When you're in a pinch, it costs more, right? Everything costs more when you're in a pinch. And it's funny because I'm in that boat right now. I'm like, crap. And I could get one shipped in. It'll take me a week, and that's going to cost about $500. Or I can just go buy one that I need immediately because I don't want to turn off my water for a week and wait for it. I can go get what I need immediately for around $850 plus, taxes. But it's like you have to be ready for the disaster, right? That's what emergency funds. So we've talked about the basics in emergencies for years. That's where emergency funds come in, right? So you're not having to throw it on a credit card and pay 29% interest on something that's already unplanned and unexpected and out of just not fun to deal with. Or maybe you can get a Home Depot credit card with 6 months free interest, right? Think about those things, but let's talk about, okay, what do you do in these situations? And Mythbusters, actually season 5 episode 20, debunked launching water heaters.
I thought they confirmed it. I remember watching that one. They sent one.
It will explode, but it won't launch out of your house.
Okay.
Yes. So I remember that one, like, because I'm like, wait a minute, because it came from a movie where it launched through the roof and out of the house. And I always thought that was the coolest thing. I'm like, I hope that happens in my house. I was like 12. Dumb ideas. But yeah, they can explode. Launching out of the house, they could not confirm that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's still dangerous, right? It's
still highly dangerous.
And exploding inside your house. And like I say, very, very rare. But a leak is definitely not rare. That happens, right?
Yeah, leaks are the most common, the most called, by according to insurance companies, the most called in claims are house fire, water leaks, water overflows, flooding basements, whether it's from inside water or outside water, power outage, like problems that occurred from power outages, and then gas leaks, followed by bug and rodent infestations that damage the house. Those are like the top 8 things according to the insurance companies.
Does it say where the fire starts? What's the number one? Does it
number one fire start is in your kitchen?
I was going to say kitchen. Yep.
Number 2 is electrical, and it's not your panels or your house wiring. It's you plugging in. Actually, it's overloading expanded circuits.
Extension cords.
Extension cords. Old
without using power strips.
Yeah, I went and just got all new surge protectors for the house for all the different areas where you use electronics. The new ones are phenomenal. Most of them have battery backup, so it can run it for a little bit longer. I got the ones without the battery backups because I've got battery backups. But just having newer, safer ones that you can test and make sure they work. I had some that were like 20 years old, and I'm like, ooh, it's time to replace these. But those are some of the largest contributors to house fires, are those surge protectors that are worn out, exposed wiring, and overloaded.
Especially in older homes that weren't built for the higher amperage that the newer homes are now, that, try and ask it to do more than it was designed to do. So yeah, absolutely. You can upgrade your surface to 100 amp if you have a 50, 200 if you have 100, with some minimal upgrades. But it's all expensive. Upgrading your electric system, it's all expensive. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nothing is cheap anymore. Congratulations, Democrats, you destroyed our economy.
And Republicans too.
That's true. I like to blame it on Sleepy Joe. He was not awake enough to know what was going on, and inflation went insane during his watch. But
they're all puppets. But that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But yeah, propane. I've got my my place out at my bug out, and I've got I do have an inline instant hot water out there, in addition to a couple of RVs and such. And
that's all set up on propane, right? All of it.
Yeah, that's all propane. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so out here in the city, we got natural gas, but those on-demand water heaters are much more affordable now than they used to be. So I'm definitely going to think about that. But I need to look into that before I replace the water heater, because I think that would be awesome. I'm just not sure if I could do it myself. Where a water heater, I know that I can do that myself. So, and it's going to be quite a bit less expensive, as far as I know. Becky, maybe you can tell me how much more those residential instant ones are, the on-demand ones.
Some of the ones I was looking at, they're not too bad, but yeah. So let's talk about, what are some things to be aware of? First and foremost, now that we know what the big issues are, let's talk about how to kind of prepare for them. But then we'll also jump into some other topics, such as the uncommon threats a little bit later in the show, the natural disasters, wildfires, home invasion, tornado. I guess home invasion is not a natural disaster, but it's on the list.
It's an emergency scenario, definitely
emergency. Earthquakes. I even threw civil unrest on my list, but then we also have medical emergencies, which I think is where we're going to end on, because those are the most critical, life-changing topics.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we know house fires, water leaks, Those are the big two. What are some things that you do to eliminate those threats, Shane?
Well, I'm also looking toward our entire HVAC system, right? In the summer where we're at, if we don't have the AC, it's just annoying, right? But if you're like in Arizona or wherever where you're breaking 100, 120 plus, and you don't have AC, it can be life threatening, especially for seniors and such. But also, CPAP machines, power outage is kind of what I'm getting at, as well as and not having some kind of backup power for CPAP and for running your furnace in the middle of winter, right?
Yep.
Because if you lose power, most likely we've got natural gas, or like you say propane. You can continue to heat your house and run your gas fireplace if you don't have a wood fireplace. So, and we've talked a little bit about this in the past, it's just having some kind of backup power to run your minimal appliances. I like to say, like maybe the freezer, keep your and your fridge to keep your food from spoiling, and then run your furnace. Those things to keep the house. But and so I guess kind of preventative stuff I do is, of course, having the backup, having the generator ready. I test it, I run it, I make sure it has the gas is fresh in it, and I'm testing at least quarterly and running it for a couple hours, and I make sure that's ready to go at a moment's notice. And I have it rigged so that I can switch it over to the house very quickly with a safety switch, with a disconnect and a
nice
connect for the generator. So it's very, very slick, very easy. So that's part of my preventative. Other than that, other than what we kind of talked about maintenance wise, trying to fix things before the problems happen. That's not always possible to do. But like you say, your roof. You hinted that kind of roof leak, and water leaks, water lines are a big problem in winter. We've had some examples before where pipes were not insulated properly. So just having that mindset, I think, the longer you own a home, the longer you understand, okay, this sink is going to freeze if the outside temperature gets below 10 degrees.
Right.
So I have to open the door to the countertop and run the water. And so, things like that, right? Because I just know that we have one back bathroom that is the furthest away from any heat vent, and it gets cold in there. And if the temperatures drop below 10 degrees outside, that can freeze up. So we'll leave the water on and open the cabinets and get some airflow and such. So just, I think, simple things like that should be on your mind. Whereas, and I don't mean to be offensive, the ladies don't necessarily think about these things because they leave it to the guys, right? I don't know about you, Becky. Maybe you're the one who takes charge in your house. But somebody's got to, right? Somebody needs to be on top of those things. And sometimes, ladies, you got to remind them, the guys, hey, what'd you do about this? What about that? For me, I'm my wife. She's the furthest from that. She doesn't even think about any of that kind of stuff. But
it's because she's married to you. She doesn't have to, right? She's like
exactly
hyper aware, hyper prepare.
Yeah,
that is
it's
the
kind
epitome of who you are.
Yeah,
and I love it. Like, I'm sure she's every day. She's like, I haven't thought about this XYZ, and since we got married, I haven't had to. Right?
You've seen the memes, right? Where the husband and wife are shopping. They're out in the mall, whatever. He's standing back. She's walking in front, and he's looking. I can take that guy. That guy's over. He's a threat. This person over there could do that. And she's just in la la land, right? Because that's our job, right? Just to take care of the family.
It's like those memes where the ladies like, what's he think? Like, I bet he's thinking about blah blah blah, and he's over there like thinking about car parts, right? In our world, it's like she's mad because we're not paying attention to her, but we're over there thinking about, okay, did I make sure I got the HVAC tested? Everything's clean on that. Okay, did I check the water heaters? Okay, are all the doors locked? Like, we mentally check the list and go through everything just to double check everything. And I think that's the right way for a guy to be wired, is to be thinking of that all the time. So sorry, ladies, if we don't give you enough attention all the time, but that's part of what we're doing. But
absolutely.
So like you, I've got my generator ready to go. I should check it quarterly. I check it every year. But I don't leave any fuel in it. Mine's dual fuel, so I can run it on unleaded or I can run it on propane.
Yeah, that's smart. Propane is awesome for generators.
Propane is the way to go. I'm since buying this generator and running it off propane, it's so much easier. The maintenance on it's a lot lower because fuel gums up. This just it's cleaner. It's just.
But I've had my generator for 20 years, and just doing what I've been doing is just putting a stabilizer in it and running it every quarter. It's been working great. And so, but yeah, if you buy, you need to buy an ethanol free gasoline.
Yep.
It'll last a lot longer, especially with stable, and the ethanol can damage your fuel system.
The older the generator, usually the better the quality.
Yeah, you're probably right too. Yep.
So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, lots of great comments in here. So just if you're listening to us on a podcast, come over to YouTube and read these comments. A lot of really smart comments over here about generators and fuel and solar and batteries compared to generators and so forth. So
just have something, right? If you can't afford solar's great. If you can't afford solar, get a dual fuel generator system, gas and propane, or a tri-fuel. There's a guy that near me that switches everything to a tri-fuel system. And I'm like, all right, so he can run natural gas, propane, and regular unleaded. But there's so many different things you can do. Do something, right? Honda do have some phenomenal generators, and they're quieter than everybody else's.
But I have an older school Generac, which is which actually I think it is a Honda engine on that older Generac. Yeah, I'd have to say it is a Honda engine. So I will shut up there. But so, like I say, some of the older ones, and as a backup generator, I think you could go cheaper. You could go cheaper as a backup generator. With as much my generator's been used over the years, a cheaper one would have worked out just fine. But if you can afford the Honda and it'll last you your entire life, yeah, absolutely go Honda. But yeah. But I do love backup battery. I've got battery banks, and they're freaking awesome. I've learned to build my own and such, and install solar, and it's been a hobby of mine for a long time. So
what's funny is do you know the origin story of Honda and their engines?
I don't remember.
So Tokai Seiki, I'm going to say his name wrong. Tokai Seiki, the creator of Honda engines, tried to get a job at Toyota, and they said he wasn't good enough, and he'd only ever be a mechanic. And he's developed like the longest running small gas engines and that's where Honda came from. So that's why I love like Honda engines, Toyota engines. They just go and go and go. Yeah. They're phenomenal. But yeah, get a good generator. Okay, fire. Because with water, you can also have fire. You can have shorts in systems because of water, but you can also have just straight fire. So number one fire problem is in your kitchen. Do you have smoke detectors throughout your home, not just near your kitchen, but throughout your home? You should have one within 6 feet of every bedroom. We have all of our bedroom doors are about 8 feet apart. So we've got one over there. We've got one by the kitchen. We've got 2 in the basement and 3 in the lower basement. 3 in the basement and 2 in the lower basement. So it's like everywhere we could possibly have them, they're there. And we have ours are wired together in unison. So if it goes off in the basement, it's notifying us upstairs. Super annoying.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad we did it, because if our renters, when we had renters, if they lit a fire and it was a problem, I'd be made aware of it. But the other fire area, like keep in your kitchen, keep fire extinguishers. And now they have those fire extinguishing mats, which are pretty awesome. You can just throw
fire blankets in general.
Yeah, fire blankets.
Yep.
Phenomenal. But have a good tested fire extinguisher. But also have in your laundry room a fire extinguisher. And the reason I say that is that's the second most highest fire cause in your house,
because of lint in the dryer,
dirty ducts and lint in your dryer.
And I would think the third would be probably the garage, right? Depends on what you're doing in your garage. I know some fires have been started by charging devices with lithium batteries, like the what am I thinking? the hoverboards that were so
Oh,
popular.
I
Those
remember
burned
those.
down a bunch of homes. So I'm very cautious about charging batteries in particulars. But oh yeah, you're
I love
absolutely right.
this. Becky, how come the
Yeah.
smoke detector batteries only die between 1 and 4 a.m.? Pretty much guaranteed. It's like they have an internal clock that's like, oh, it's nighttime? Let's go off. But yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really have much or any experience with gas leaks. That there's basically no odor to propane. Obviously, there's a good odor to it that you're gonna exactly when you smell propane. But for if there's a gas leak, kind of hard to.
Well, there's
that for my nose anyway.
So they put the scent into natural gas, the rotten egg smell, that sulfur smell. So they've been doing that since I believe it was like the 50s. But it's been a long time they've been doing that so that people can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
When that happens, immediately go outside, shut off your gas, call a technician, have them come out and figure out where it's coming from. You want to get out of the house. You want to turn off the gas. You want to make sure nothing sparks it, because that is very dangerous. Open all your windows, get it aired out, get it cleared out, be safe. That's the simplest thing you can do to avoid it, because the problem is with gas leaks, you're gonna suffocate, right? The gas poisoning into your lungs, that's going to cause a problem. If you're breathing that gas, you can asphyxiate on that. But definitely get out of the house, turn the gas off. Do you have a wrench on your gas meter?
I've got it strapped to there with the zip tie.
Yep, same here. Easy to pull off, pop it on, turn it off, take care of it. Okay, we could talk about rodents and bugs, or we could jump in, because I mean that's not as big a threat, but it's annoying. Or
yeah, I mean,
right
quick example, I guess, just to touch on that briefly, is our food storage. We had a big bag, 50-pound bag of wheat, and it was in a long-term storage type bag, but the rodents got into it, and it was stuck back in the corner of the house of the storage room, so we couldn't really see it. The storage room was just full, but we noticed we were having problems with rodents, and of course the reason they're there is because of food. So it got to be where we would hear them running around in the ceiling. And so we just had to figure out how they were getting in and why they were coming in, and found that bag of wheat and had to clean out the entire house. I mean, had to take down light fixtures and clean them out because of droppings. And so it took me literally weeks and weeks to clean every little nook and cranny where these little mice would get to. But it was a lot of fun catching them, setting traps. I mean, I'd catch them 2-3 at a time in a single trap.
That's a big infestation.
It was really bad. It was and I was kind of ashamed to say it, but by way of example, if you see one mouse, there's a lot more, right? So as soon as you have that first indication of a rodent, just jump on top of it and figure out why they're coming in the house and how. And I mean, we got wire shelves. We put food. We put bags of wheat into plastic bins, and did everything we could to eliminate any possibility of them getting any scraps or anything. And we hadn't had any mice in the house for years now, so it's worked out really well. And of course, I say that being an emergency, it could be disease. They bring disease into the house, right? So, and I mean, it's just nasty as well. Just think that they're running around above your head, and that their droppings could fall down through the lights and through the vents and such.
And they can die in the walls too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we had in our rental unit in the basement, we had a rat get in through it, chewed through some insulation, got in and died in the wall. That was nasty. You know how I found it? I used my thermal camera.
Oh, okay.
And I found it with my thermal.
That's a good idea.
I was like, oh, that works.
Yeah.
And you can get them. They're not too expensive. You can get them for like $100 now. And they can plug into like your iPhones, your Androids, and anything else. But I just use that. It's my home inspection camera that I was using, and boom, there it was. Good investment to check out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the uncommon threats: the home invasion, wildfire, tornado, earthquake, civil unrest, all those
Yeah,
super exciting topics.
yeah. Obviously, earthquakes are more common here where we live.
Mhm.
Where you live, it might be floods, it might be hurricanes, tornadoes, um, but it's earthquakes here, and so uh, I think the number one thing that I can do is have earthquake insurance.
Yep.
And of course, I'm saying this on behalf of Paris because he's the insurance guy, right? He would be the one who bring up the insurance needs on your home, on your properties, and such, including liability insurance. I think that's an important part nowadays is have some kind of liability insurance for anybody who comes onto your property. I mean, I've got it at my bug out location as well.
You know what's frustrating is we just had those couple of earthquakes. They're small, but I got enough damage on my house from the last earthquake. I think it was a 3.4. Enough damage on my house that I have to repair multiple areas of drywall and other issues that
Really?
Yeah. I have crack now running all the way up my wall by my front door. I have cracks going across the ceiling in my front room, my hallway, my bathroom, my family room, and my storage room.
No, that's great. So are you making a claim on those?
Well, I called to see what a claim would be like, and they're like, "Yeah, it probably barely just hit your $1,500 I can't
Right,
even
your deductible.
my deductible." And I'm like, I'll just do it myself. It's
Yeah.
not worth claiming at that point. I think it's going to be like $1,700, and my deductible's $1,500.
Yeah, and so we've had quite a few earthquakes out here in Utah in the past month or two.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't felt any of them. They haven't been close enough to me, but they've been in the threes, in the twos and threes.
3s and a 4 up in on the
Oh yeah, it did hit a 4 up there. So
4.6 up on the border of Wyoming and Utah.
and so we live basically right on a fault here
Mhm.
along the Wasatch Front. Runs all the way north to south, right along the mountains, right where you live, right where I live. I'm about 100 yards away from the main fault, which is really the best place to live. It's where the least movement happens here. So
I'm 10 feet off the fault.
yeah, you're right on the fault. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm like, they say it's good, but I'm not feeling that way this month.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So obviously my home is outdated and it needs to be updated with earthquake ties and so forth. So that's a pretty big investment. So I haven't done anything like that yet. So thus insurance is my kind of go-to, but then also having a bug out location, having items staged, right? Bugging out is something that I'm planning on doing, right? Because I'm prepared to do it, right? But at times you may have to evacuate, and maybe it's during a natural disaster, then you have to evacuate. You have to get out in a minute, or you maybe have 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Having those items staged that you're going to need. People call it 72-hour kits. We don't like that. And just call it go kits. It's got to be at least 96 hours plus. Yep. You can go 72 hours with just a couple of bottles of water, a couple of gallons of water, and not much else. But having the items you're going to need staged in totes that you can throw in your vehicle and take off quickly. It doesn't have to be a backpack, right? You don't have to bug out on foot. I think that's very unlikely. Unless your entire neighborhood's destroyed and there's telephone poles down, and right, and there's other alternatives to just backpacks. I've got an entire closet full of just freeze dried and dehydrated food, water, stoves, those types of things that I can quickly and easily throw into my vehicle within a minute. It can have in the back of one of our vehicles, and we can be out of there. And then I have lists of items where if I have 15 minutes, or if I have an hour, I got to get out of the house, or 24 hours. But I've got those plans in place so that if I need to get out in a natural disaster or fire, maybe we live near foothills and there have been threats of wildfire, where we've been put on standby that it's headed your way. Keep your eyes open. Don't leave. Right.
So many times.
Just be aware. And so we have those plans in place, and I have no fear or concern that we won't know exactly what to do if that time comes. So I think that's part of natural disaster preparedness is being prepared to bug out.
Yeah, having a plan, because it's not necessarily bugging out all the time, right? It might just be short-term relocation, right? It might be within the city, might be outside the city. We actually have a guide over at preppertalkradio.com, our emergency disaster binder documents. You can go download those, but it walks you through the steps of what you need to be doing, research your area, find out what you need. And of course, the minimum 96 hours on all of your kits. But it goes through different types of disasters, how to plan for them, what things to think about, house fires, wildfires, flash floods, right? Hurricanes, tornadoes, then goes through your kits, what you should have in them, some checklists. Go check that out, because honestly, there's things you've probably missed and things you should be checking and updating. And this is a good reminder. So make sure you guys go check that out. preppertalkradio.com. Go over to the download section and get those downloaded. Okay.
So I guess I need a boat now to evacuate.
You need a boat?
The flood. But I'd live on a hill. I live on a hillside, kind of like you, Scott. Not as steep of a hillside as yours.
Just need a toboggan. You can slide downhill no matter what.
That'll float, I guess. But I think we're coming down to the wire here. Maybe we should jump into medical.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big topic. Especially here at home. I don't know the statistics, but the thinking back in our family's life of the things that have happened at home and how many times we've had to call 911, which has been a few times. And we can go into those events, but a lot of times you can be prepared to first of all know when you should or don't need to call 911, because like, for example, I'll give you a quick example. One of our daughters, she is now prone to concussions because she's hit her head a few times. And so even with some jostling, right, she can get to the point where she's really kind of delusional and can be sick. And with her first concussion, I can't remember, she was riding her bike or what, but she passed out. And then, of course, as part of passing out, she kind of convulsed like she was having a seizure, but it wasn't a seizure, right? And we didn't really recognize it. We were, a bit panicked. And so we called 911. They came and said, she's fine. This is normal for what happened. And it was scary, but now we know, right? Now we don't need to run to the ER or call 911. We just need to use our knowledge to determine what happened and whether we need to go spend $1,000 at the ER.
Right.
Because I've done that before too, right? Daughter falls and hurts her arm, and she's holding it like it's broken. Oh, I guess we should go get an X-ray. And then as soon as they X-ray it and they say, "Oh, it's fine," and she's like, "Oh, okay." And
right,
like, what just happened? It wasn't a broken bone. And so with a little more time and a little more patience, and maybe more patience with the wife too, right? Because I'm like, okay, just shake it off, right? But on the say, shake it off, you'll be fine. And mom says, no, we need to go.
On the other side of that, to help you feel better, I was 14, did a backflip out of a swing set at a park. So it's kind of home. Broke both arms.
What?
And everyone's like, no, you're fine. You're fine. No, you're fine. And I'm like, no, I got to go. Like, this isn't right. Something's wrong. So I went in, found out I had 2 broken arms. One worse than the other, much worse. But I had a good day compared to the lady next to me who had been attacked by an otter. She lost 2 fingers. Yeah, 2 little river otter.
What?
It was a phenomenal story, but we'll save that one for another day. So make sure you guys tune in every week. But you never know, right? Unless you're medically trained and you've got all the stuff you need to be able to check for breaks. Like, if it's a break, at least worth checking it out, right?
I have splinted arms from kids falling from trees in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's probably not as common as it used to be, but it should be common. Kids should be falling from trees, right?
Now they're tripping while they're live streaming on their phones. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But
I think the number one health threat at home, I think it is heart attack, stroke. I think poisoning is, I don't know how high poisoning is up there, but seizures, falling off a ladder, again, falling from a tree, right? But choking as well. right? That's essentially, you know how to do the Heimlich, and depending on the age of the child and or you know or of the individual.
I love having those little life vac
Yeah, that's
anti-choke
what I was going to say.
devices.
Yeah,
We've got one in the car, one in the kitchen, and it's like we don't put it away. We leave it on the counter so it's quick access to get to no matter what. Right? Because it works so perfectly and you don't break any ribs. It is more effective than the Heimlich. So
oh
if
yeah,
you haven't
yep.
got one, go get one.
Yeah, those are great.
But let's go back to heart attack because that's to me that's a big fear, right? Because they present differently in men and women, right? In a man, what is it? Your left arm starts going limp, right? You're
Yeah,
having
the left
left
side.
side
And my dad,
paralysis.
he had numerous heart attacks, so I'm kind of familiar with the science.
So go through the signs so we're all familiar.
Well, of course, it depends on your age, but it could, for some people, it does feel like indigestion, and some do get that uh, heartburn, do get that confused, and maybe having a serious case of heartburn. They're like, or panic. A panic attack can also feel like that and get confused with that as well. And you know, I'm not trained in that. I'm definitely not qualified to teach that, but essentially, the left side becomes weak. If you feel shooting pains down the arm, in the chin and the face and so forth. That's how my dad kind of knew it was coming on. But he had that issue for many years, so he was very aware of what he needed to do and when and what time things were happening, and was able to usually catch that after his first couple heart attacks. He was able to say, "Oh, I know what's going on," and then head to the hospital, right?
Well, it's so different for women because they don't get the chest pain, they don't get the left side paralysis. They get like back pain, nausea, and what feels like anxiety.
Kidney pain, or
it's completely different. Back and jaw pain, nausea, extreme fatigue, shortness of breath, completely different. And so you've got to like be aware of that. So I pay less attention to the guy stuff. I pay more attention to the girl stuff because I married a girl. I married a woman, not a girl. I'm not. Yeah, she's in her 40s. We're safe, guys. But yeah, like you need to know, and also with kids, like you need to know like what's going on, and to be able to respond to what could be happening. Field Tech even dropped in here. The number one things is that he's responded to are falls in the home, injuries in the home from falling. Like my neighbor just had a fall, and it was actually during last week's broadcast. Or 2 weeks ago's broadcast, and he ended up in the hospital for 4 days because of that fall. He's in his late 80s, and it doesn't matter, right? Anybody can have an incident. And Field Tech, he's pointing out, no age is immune from heart attack. Absolutely agreed. Same with strokes, right? Same with any medical situation. Like, learn the signs for every person in your family, like what it could present as.
I've definitely got to give credit to my wife because of all the medical shows she watches. She could pass for a doctor diagnosing in an ER. Not even joking.
Do you concur?
Pretty good at that. Although obviously we've fallen to have to call 911 or go to the ER on occasion. That was some time ago, so now her knowledge has expanded. So I think that's a good idea, is to pick someone in the family. Obviously, everyone needs to have some knowledge of first aid and such, but have someone in the family who really focuses and concentrates on your medical preparedness and teaching. And before I've shown you some of the supplies I have, I've got a birthing kit, I've got a dental kit with all the scariest freaking tools you can see for extractions. And I tell you, I am not going to be even attempting to do that. I'm going to put that off onto somebody else.
Yep.
Right. You're the dental specialist, right, in our group. So community is extremely important, especially in my area. I've got a surgeon. I've got a couple of nurses in my area. And so I'm not going to go to them first, right? Because I don't want to inconvenience them. But at times on weekends, we've gone to our surgeon who can write prescriptions and say, hey, this is happening, whatever. And he's been able to write a prescription, and we've been able to go down and get that taken care of in the moment. So community and knowing your neighbors is obviously very, very important. Someone who has more experience than I do.
It's funny because my my neighbor surgeon and my neighbor ER nurse both moved away in the last 4 years. And I'm like, dang it. Because I have a surgical set and I'm never going to use it, but I got it in case someone could use it. Right. This, and guys, if you're prepping and you're like, oh, I need a surgical set. No, you don't. Most likely. This is if I have some liquidity, some cash just sitting around that doesn't do anything, that's when you start getting stuff for other people to use, right? That's that's when you fill the needs of the larger expanse of the community. Focus on your needs first, right? Get your house in order, then start getting the stuff like because we both have gone a little above and beyond, right? Nothing wrong with it, just don't do that first. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Talked a little bit about breaks, talked a little bit about falls, electrocution and poisoning. Do you have the number for poison control ready to go? Because it's different than 911. They're going to give you different advice. You can call 911 and then let them patch you over, but poison control is good to know. Also, they have video resources you can watch to learn things you can do to better be prepared for exposures. My older sister, they thought she had lead poisoning as a kid. They thought she got into some lead paint and drank some. That was scary. That was absolutely frightening for my parents. I'm sure my sister didn't really have any fun either, but they had to take her in. They had to get her stomach pumped because that's serious. But your kids, your family can be exposed to all kinds of poisons at any given time.
In the air,
I was just about to
indoor.
say, not the least bit chemtrails.
But I was also thinking, of course, allergic reactions. It seems like that's more and more common because of the foods we put into us. The so-called foods that affect our immune system and compromise it, and so having an EpiPen handy is something I have one in every single bag. Never had to use it, but my wife almost needed one once. Had this strange rash show up, and so since then we've kept one in all of our bags. So as it's part of part of a trauma kit, right? Is with all the trauma bandages and such. So, but then of course you have to know how to use it in practice, right?
Right. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and we're already up against 48 minutes, but and of course this is a much larger topic, and I'm not qualified to teach anything, but I think it's just important to realize what your weaknesses are. Each family is going to be a little different, right, in their needs, medical needs. I've got a sister-in-law whose son is allergic to peanuts. I mean, extremely allergic, right? And so that's something that's normal in their family, and they've figured it out, right? And so just things like that. If you get to know your family's needs and you're prepared for it, then it doesn't have to be scary, right? And especially in in a moment of an emergency, stack an emergency on top of that, stack a natural disaster on top of that, or your vehicle breaking down, anything like that, and an emergency can just be an inconvenience, right? Instead of being an emergency, if you're prepared.
Yeah. As we talk about these things, as we think about these things, it's like you never know what's going to happen next, right? You can guess, but you never know what's going to happen next. So it's always good to prioritize, think about what could happen, think about what happens the most likely in your area, in your home, right? With your age groups, and that's pretty easy. You can do some research on that, and then start applying those things to solutions to those problems. Get them prepped, right? Like with allergies, right? Have an AviQ or an EpiPen or handy, right? I've got like 5 of these now in the house. Well, 3 in the house, 1 in the car, 1 in my go bag, just so that I've got them around in case I need them. And they last a good couple of years beyond their expiration date, right? And so my allergist is like, oh yeah, I keep old ones in my pool house. I'm like, you've got a pool house? He goes, I don't know why, but I got a pool house. He's like, I've used those on neighborhood kids for bee stings so many times. He's like, I never get rid of them. And if one of the old ones doesn't do the job, I grab a newer one to get him a more higher dosage. He's like, it's not going to hurt anything to have a bigger dosage. But absolutely have stuff on hand, because when you need it, you're going to want it. And if you don't have it, you're going to regret it, especially if you could have had it.
Yeah, and I think we touched really briefly on kind of intruders and burglars and such. Maybe we should just kind of close out with that. Just touch on that real quick. There obviously there's things that you can do very easily to keep people out. First of all, is just keeping your doors and windows locked. I think that's the number one method of entry is through the front door. Just walking it through the front door, or kicking that in where the locks are not reinforced, the plates are not reinforced. They're just using short screws, and it makes it really easy to kick that door down, or leaving it a window unlocked. That's the main place where people get into houses, is through the front door or side window. Just keeping those locked is gonna make it a little bit harder target, right?
Well, and going back to the doors, like the simplest precaution is you're using those little 3/4 inch long nail screws to hold your hinges up, right? To hold your door lock in. Swap those out. Get 3.5 inch deck screws.
Mm-hmm.
Get really solid all weather screws. Swap them out. Drill a pilot hole so you don't break anything, but like drop some big screws in there. And that's going to make it so much harder for anyone to gain entry in your home.
Yeah.
Also, make sure you've got good drapes, because most of the time people break in because they see something they want. Keep your drapes closed. Like, there's no need for the outside world to see what you're doing every evening and when your lights are all on in your house. Like, keep the drapes up. Put them up. Put them right where they're in the way so people can't see. Use sheer blinds and stuff to let the light through, but not to let people see what's going on in your house. Basic security 101. But definitely go fix your doors now. Like, I did that on all my doors, and I even did the pilot holes of the key locks into the door thicker so that they're more reinforced. But the bigger the screw, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And also say, like, we have a sliding glass door on the back of our home. If someone were to take a wrench to that, or a pipe, and it's not safety glass. I mean, safety glass will just shatter. On our sliding glass door, we have put a security film on it. And so it would take quite a bit for someone to try and break through that film. And so that gives me time to get up in the middle of the night, if it were, and take a defensive position there. And most likely, criminals are lazy. If they can't get in quickly, it's going to take some effort to get in, they realize, a higher percentage chance of me getting caught, they're going to take off, right? So you just delay their entry somehow, and most likely, and it's going to give you the edge to keep somebody out of your house. And of course, there's other ways of protecting your home as well. We don't want to have to get to that point, right? We just got to keep the people out, keep the people who are going to do your harm out of the house, and make your house a hard target that way with lights, with keeping your yard clean, getting rid of any hiding places. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was just going to add to the windows, hurricane film, right? Also fantastic. Thank you, Becky B.
Same thing, basically.
Same thing.
Hurricane film, yeah.
But in your area, one might be cheaper than the other. They're typically rated to the same strength, unless it's a specialty version.
And now you can do inside and outside films on both sides of your glass.
But definitely get a really good portable hole puncher, high velocity hole puncher, as your backup, right? Just to keep things safe. And do you know what I'm talking about, Shane?
You're talking about a nail set?
Yeah, 9mm hole puncher.
Oh, I see. Okay, that kind of hole puncher.
Hollow point. Or larger, right? You can get 45, right? Go with what feels comfortable. Go with what you're going to willingly carry, whichever waistband accessory you need for your portable hole puncher. Carry those, keep them around, keep them with you, because you don't want, like, in some cases, like for me, I have 2 gun safes. I have one downstairs, I have one upstairs, and I have redundancy. So if I'm downstairs, I've got extra stuff downstairs. If I'm upstairs, I've got extra stuff upstairs. But I've also got my portable hole puncher with me. So knowing what I have, where I have it, and what I need to have or tally back to get right to protect my family, that's you got to do what you got to do, and go get training. The more training, the better. Be very amazing at that hole punching skill.
Yeah, I'm not as dedicated as you, Field Tack, putting bulletproof film on my vehicles. Not that dedicated yet. Although, with the things that are happening right now, maybe I should be.
Yeah.
But then it'll just go right through my doors anyway, right? The windows may stop it, but it'll go through the doors pretty easy. So, but yeah, I like that idea of our IR film blocking flock cameras.
That's cool.
Put some of that film over your license plates.
And just a little final as we're wrapping up. A lot of you think, oh, well, I've got security cameras and that's great. Well, if it's Ring or if it's one of those other, I can't remember the other one that's big, those are just network cameras that people are using to spy and surveil you. They're not real security cameras.
Easily hacked.
They're already hacked. They come hacked, right? Mm-hmm. But the other thing is you can get really good systems for your home. That my neighbor's got one that I think is absolutely awesome. If I were staying here long term, I'd probably upgrade to that. But his has auditory responses to it. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if I get too close to his side yard, hey, what are you doing? And it's a dude's voice. It sounds kind of not him, but it sounds kind of like him. And I'm like, huh? And I look around and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a stupid alarm. It's awesome because it recognizes people versus deer and leaves the deer alone. And it even, like, my kids, hey, what are you doing? Like, someone's talking to me, Dad. No, that's just his house. But like having something that's going to deter the lazy criminals who are just opportunists, right? The better, the more secure, go for it. Any final thoughts on the
well, I'm making a note of the Kevlar sheeting that I'm going to add to my rig and the IR glass coatings. As things get more serious, which they seem to be, I'm going to get a little more serious as well. So, and I've always taken this thing serious. I guess another quick thing I've done is on my home to harden it, I've put locking window well covers on all my basement windows. Mm-hmm. So the only way in through the house is at the main floor, and which of course most of my kids have always kind of stayed downstairs, so it's a safe place for them. So
awesome. Well, guys, that's pretty much it for the night. Hope you guys have a fun and safe evening wherever you are in the world or whatever time it is you're listening to this on the podcast later. Have a safe and wonderful day. Keep that head on a swivel. Any final thoughts, Shane?
No, just I think it's just getting more serious. If we were watching the current events, mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter if you're watching mainstream. You're going to kind of get the same sense of what's going on. I don't encourage that at all, but better than nothing at this point, I think. And just be aware of how kind of perilous it's getting out there, right? It's and if you have eyes to see, and your eyes are open, and you're not sticking your head in the ground, just take the news for what it's worth, for what it is. Interpret it the way that is the most beneficial to your home, mm-hmm. and take those steps. And if you feel that inspiration to get blocking window well covers or put some security film on your sliding glass doors or windows, I'd move on it sooner than later. If you're able to. I did that many years ago and felt it was important then, and even more so now.
Again, with that, it is better to be inconvenienced now to get it protected and prepared early than to be inconvenienced in a very traumatizing, life-threatening way later because you didn't do it today. Right? That's the most important thing we can teach you guys is to do it now. The enemy of safety is delay.
It's not about what the chances are. It's about what the consequences are for not doing it, right? Maybe a very low percentage chance that somebody's going to come and break into your house because you live in a really nice neighborhood. But the consequences of that happening are much higher. And so I'd much rather take the precautions.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in and not tuning out. keep that head on a swivel, stay ready minded, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace
See you
out,
next week.
everybody.